Hi, I'm Kep Kepner, CPA here in Dallas. This is a little session on how the world works. Congress needs money, so they pass some sort of tax act. And I've always felt like these acts, which may be 2,000, 5,000 pages of information, really aren't read by anybody except somebody who's working for a congressman, and they probably are fairly young. They haven't raised a family. They probably don't own a house. They probably have a big car payment. And the fact of the matter is, they're affecting you and me and every small business. I don't know about you, but I don't like somebody like that having that big an impact on me. The best control I have is to build my business as strong and as profitable as I can. And even if I have to pay tax, even if some junior page working for a congressman influences something in the Tax Act that's going to affect me, it'll only affect me a little bit. Now, Congress passes this law. Well, that doesn't begin to say anything about how it should be implemented. It may have deadlines and targets, but somebody's got to write all these rules. Well, very often that falls to the IRS. That seems a little strange. That's kind of like the fox in the hen house. Oh, I think Congress is expecting us to collect everything from everybody. And that might not have been Congress's intention. But the fact of the matter is, the IRS writes these rules. Then they issue the rules. Now, mind you, the law might be in effect this year, but the rules might not be written until 2 years from now. So that leaves you, the taxpayer, me, the professional that prepares tax returns, leaves us a little bit in the dark. So we use our professional judgment, we interpret whatever there is out there, and we prepare the taxes. Then Congress comes along, not Congress, okay, scratch that, boy. Then the IRS comes along with their rules. Great, now we got the rules. Oh, by the way you did it before, since we didn't give you any rules, we're going to have you have done it a different way. So that's really not fair. Even for the IRS, they might think that's not fair. So what they often do is issue a revenue proclamation. And this Rev Proc has a number and a subject. And the Rev Proc very often is something that tells you how to calculate something or identifies what's called a safe harbor. It says, if you do this, because you didn't know otherwise, but if you do this, we're not going to penalize you, or we're going to implement the law a certain way. Sometimes Rev Proc rulings come about because the tax law, the new rules are so onerous on a business that would cause tremendous hardship. You could really say that about all of Obamacare now, but the fact of the matter is, anytime you have these rules that come in after the fact, there need to be safe harbors. Sometimes industries will get together and negotiate with the IRS. One recent Rev Proc ruling is Rev Proc 2015-56. This is a Rev Proc ruling that deals with how restaurant owners can write off the cost of refurbishing their restaurant. So it's not unusual for a restaurant to spend a fair amount of money updating the look of their restaurant every 10 or 15 years. Rather than writing off that expense over many years, this Rev Proc ruling gives a safe harbor that allows a restaurant to write off 75% of that cost in the year they spend it. So how did that come about? Well, somebody made the case to the IRS and probably to Congress as well that it was inequitable to expect a restaurant to spend $100,000 on refurbishing the restaurant, but having to take 39 years to write it off. That way they would only be able to write off, a couple of $1,000s a year. They'd be out all of that cash. And so that's not really fair. And somebody pointed out how unjust that was. So a safe harbor was created to allow somebody to write off 75%. Now, just because they give you a safe harbor doesn't mean you can write off 100% and say, oh, oops, I really only meant to write off 75%. You got to follow the terms of the RevProc ruling to get the benefit. So if you need help understanding why you feel like the IRS is lurking around the corner watching you, we can help you. Give us a call. Thanks.